So, anyways, we are going to do a little team teaching in here today, Mr. Cook and I, so we'll kind of be going back and forth. He's going to get you started, so you're going to pay attention, help him out, help me out. We'll get through this with no homework today.
All right, we're going to do a little whip around from the projects from yesterday. So group one was, what were we concerned about taking over in our country? Communism. We were concerned that was going to infiltrate America. It took over in Russia. We were concerned if it was going to take over here. This group, what group was back? KKK. And who did they hate?
Everybody.
Everybody. They hated everybody. Immigration. What were we trying to do about it? Right. Prevent it and slow it down a little bit. Banning of alcohol. What amendment was that? 18th Amendment. And was that successful?
Ish. Yeah. I guess. No. It wasn't. I don't know.
It got repealed.
It got repealed.
Right. Everybody was still doing it. They banned alcohol, but still everybody did it. Right? It was common throughout the country. Okay, underground. Gangsters. Who was our most famous gangster? Good. And in science and education, what were they concerned about teaching in the schools? Evolution. Correct.
Okay, so you guys yesterday ended class with a little assignment over the first two presidents. We had three presidents in the 20s. The first two were Warren Harding and Calvin Coolidge. And even though they were in the same party, even though they were president and vice president, they were basically opposite ends of the spectrum as far as personality and how they live their personal life. But let's start with that T-chart on Warren G. Harding. What do we need to know about Warren G. Harding? What did you write down about Mr. Harding? Go.
He promotes to return normalcy, public, like in the public one.
Okay, so now what gets this economy rolling is the fact that the Model T is out. So we called it the Roaring 20s because people had more money than ever before, and Mr. Cook's going to take you through the first part of this. So start writing this stuff down that you see on the board, this part of your notes.
Okay, so like Mr. Ransom said, people had more money, but, and like I talked about with the Model T still was, the price of it was pretty high. In 1909, the cost of the Model T was $850. Now today, that's probably not that much money for you or me. If we extrapolate that, that's basically paying $60,000, $70,000 for a car. Most middle-class families aren't going to have that kind of money just laying around to buy a new car. So Ford had to come up with some way to make the car less expensive so he could make more money, sell more cars. He came up with the idea of the assembly, or to develop the idea of the assembly line. That's a term. Make sure you get that down. Going to be tested over that. You need to know what that is. Who can tell me what an assembly line is? Go for it.
It's like somebody stands on it and then stands close to it and like pieces come out and they put it together and it goes on the next person and it keeps on getting bigger.
Okay, good. Right. The product comes to the workers. The workers stay at one spot. They're responsible for one aspect of, in this case, the Model T. So one worker, they put together the engine. The engine moves on. The next guy puts the frame, attaches that to the engine. The next guy, doors, wheels, and the lug nuts. Okay, it moves on and on. Eventually it gets to the end of the line. Guy gets in the car and drives it off. Okay, so, and you guys have seen that kind of at Walmart, Price Chopper, at the cashier's desk, you put your food up there, it takes it on a conveyor belt. This is essentially the same concept, just a lot bigger. What do you think an advantage of this is? This type of system? Faster? Right. Faster and more efficient. Good. Okay. What do you think are some negatives of that? Of this system?
Like they're not going to pay attention to like all the little details that everybody else would. They're doing it by themselves, I guess.
Okay. Yeah.
Since they're making a lot, the price will go down. The price will go down because it's so many people.
Right. Well, that's probably a positive. But we're looking for negatives. Negatives of this system. If you're in one spot doing the same thing over and over again, what would set in? if you were doing the same thing over and over again.
Exactly.
Boredom would set in. And so he needed to find a way to alleviate that boredom. What do you think are some reasons he could, or ways he could do that? Yeah. Okay. Anyway, any ideas? Ways to alleviate boredom on the assembly line? Anybody?
Like switch it up, like switch up the job every once in a while.
Exactly. He would rotate people instead of you doing the same thing all day, every day for every month, every week. He would switch it up every so often. So if you were doing lug nuts one day, you might go do door frames or wheels the next day. Okay. Already have out your worksheet. You don't have the answers down. Get them down now. You're going to need these. Bear with me. I don't know a lot of your names, so I'm going to need some volunteers to answer some of these questions for us. Let's start off number one. What was the overall goal of Wilson's 14 points? Who's got that one for me? Anybody? Yes.
To make peace.
Make peace. And yes, that's the beauty queen answer, world peace. We want world peace for the world moving forward. Did that work? Do we know later? No, we had World War II later on. So the 14 points, the main goal necessarily didn't work. Number two is a big one. Put a star next to that one. You're going to need to know that one for sure. What was the 14th point of Wilson's 14 points? Who has that?
To form a League of Nations to protect global peace.
League of Nations, a group of the superpowers of the world would come together and form kind of a unity, basically. Number three, why did Germany finally surrender? Kind of a tricky one.
The Allies all left the war.
Right, yes, their allies kind of dropped out of the war, and yeah. Okay, number four, when was the armistice signed?
November 11th.
Right, the old saying is the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month. It was 11 a.m. on November 11th of 1918. Okay, number five, why were the losses of the United States so small in comparison to the other warring nations? Who can answer that one? Go for you.
We only fought for like less than a year.
Right, we weren't there very long. I believe it said in the article that the European nations lost over 2 million, had over 2 million casualties, and we were in just I believe 100,000 mark about. Another reason Mr. Entz and I were talking about is all the fighting was done in Europe. No fighting was actually done on our territory. So we didn't have the chance of losing citizens in the conflict. Number six, who are the big four at the Paris Peace Conference?
Britain, France, Italy, and the US.
Good. Someone in the other class said Germany. Germany was not there. They were kind of the main topic of conversation. They were not actually part of the talks there. Italy was the fourth with US, Britain, and France. Number seven, this is another one. Mr. Ransom kind of touched on it. Put another star by this one. This is important. And we both thought that the article did a pretty poor job of explaining what Article 10 actually was for the League of Nations. I'm just going to tell you guys what that one was. That basically said that the countries that joined together would be required to go to battle with the other country if they were attacked. So say France was attacked later on. The U.S. would be required to go and help France in battle. So why might this be controversial in the United States?
We might not want to get into another war.
Right. The United States wanted to stay neutral. They didn't want to be part of another war. Good. Yeah.
Was it just those 4 countries that
All the league. So those 4 were the main 4 countries of the League of Nations, and then isn't there a rotating group that were provisional members?
Are you talking about the League of Nations?
Yeah.
Or are you just talking about number? You just want the answer to number. I think she just wants.
No. The League of Nation members.
Oh.
So there's the 4 main.
If the article exit, those 4 countries were the ones that would come
No, anybody. It was kind of open to anybody who wanted to join. So if you join, if let's say we've got 25 countries, and one country gets attacked, the other 24 have to go help that one. Does that make sense? So yeah, so if you join the League of Nations, you are entangled basically with everybody else who joined that League of Nations.
Right.
Okay?
There were the 4 major ones, and then there were other countries that wanted to join in also, but they weren't figureheads in that. Needless to say, pretty powerful stuff. The 2 Japanese people that they interviewed, they were probably miles away from the blast. Like he said, he saw it roll over the mountain, and he was miles away, and it still threw him across his house. I mean, the enormity of this is staggering. So make some arguments for why this would be a good idea, why they should drop the bomb. Anybody? Yeah, go.
The fear factor, what they probably thought was that it would scare the Japanese.
Right. Okay. Any other reasons why Truman decided he should do this?
Maybe because it was gonna have to be tested sooner or later, so that maybe they could just tested it out.
So it was inevitable that somebody was going to drop this. It needed to be us first.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other ideas why? Like, make the argument for dropping it.
It saved American lives, and in the end, he's the president of the United States and not president of Japan.
Very good. Very good. He saved American lives first. He did sacrifice some Japanese lives, but you're absolutely right. He is the president of the United States saving American lives. Okay, make some arguments why he shouldn't. Pretend it's you making the decision, and somebody asks you, well, why didn't you do it? Make some arguments for it.
The radiation could go in the air and spread around the world.
Okay. Pretty good. Anybody else? Yeah.
Just first of all, the total death count. I mean, you're killing. You could probably estimate over the 100,000s to the millions of people, and you're like wiping out like lines of families, and they're all dead.
What kinds of people are these? Japanese, but they're civilians. They're not military personnel. This is just dropping a bomb on a city. This isn't. It's like if they dropped it on Chicago. I mean,
Why do you got to pick Chicago?
Sorry, it's on the mind. We were talking about earlier. Yeah, these are civilians. This isn't a military base. This is just a city and wiping it out. Okay. So the U.S. thought, hey, this is going to get the Japanese to surrender. They drop it on the 6th. A few days go by, they don't hear anything from the Japanese. They do not surrender. So on August 9th, 1945, they decide to drop their second bomb, the Fat Man. It was dropped on Nagasaki. Originally, it was intended for another city, but due to weather conditions, it was not clear enough to drop on that particular spot, so Nagasaki was the next location. In these two pictures here, the top one, all that dark material black on the picture, those are buildings, houses infrastructure of the city. The picture below is that same location after the bomb blast. All of those buildings are completely wiped off. Basically, that city is wiped off the face of the earth with this blast. In this bombing of at least 200,000 people died. And again, that's just an estimate. We can't know exactly the death toll because of the severity of the blast. Along with this attack, the Soviet Union was now joining in the battle in the Pacific. Before, they had been recovering from their battles in Europe, so they weren't quite involved in the Pacific. Now they were starting to invade Japan, and so that finally got the Japanese surrender. On August 14th, 1945, Japan finally calls for surrender, and then officially the surrender is signed on September 2nd, 1945, aboard the USS Missouri in Tokyo Bay. Yeah.
Did you guys get that down?
Yeah.
Let's let them.
Yeah. Okay, so the surrender is going to lead us into the next kind of event for the next 45 years, really, something called the Cold War.